Hi, good day. We are going to take a look at the topic resources. Now, resources is one of the longest topics that you have in your syllabus. Basically, it is made up of two aspects, the human resource and physical and natural resources. Now, firstly, we have a definition of a resource. Right, so let me just get a little highlighter here so that you all will be able to follow while I'm reading. Okay, so we have a definition here of anything that can be accessed, developed, and used to satisfy wants and needs. These are categorized by different countries as physical and natural resources and human resource. Now again, I'm going to reiterate that basically resources is divided into two aspects. You have your natural resources and your human resource. I know that you are seeing the word physical in there, but physical and natural is basically tied together. Okay, now natural resources comes from the land, the earth, including the sea, and the human resource is the skills, the intellect, the knowledge, and the labor force, the labor of the individuals in society. Okay, so one of the first things that I ask students is basically, which one is more important? Is natural resources more important, or is human resource more important? Now, if you are from another country trying to exploit a country like Trinidad or any other Caribbean country, say for instance you are from United States of America or UK, Britain, Germany, China, wherever, and you're trying to exploit a third world country, then natural resources might be more important than the human resource, because basically what you are coming for is to harness minerals, etc., like oil, gas, diamond, gold, whatever it is, bauxite, whatever it is that you can harness. Alright, but if you are local and this is your country, then, or in any country in the world that belongs to a certain people, then human resource would be more important. Because if you develop your human resource properly, then you would not have need for foreigners to come in to harness your natural resources. So say for instance you have a lot of minerals like diamonds, or you have natural gas, or you have oil, or whatever it is that you have that is very valuable, and you are able to educate your people, right, in the skill and the technology to harness that resource, and you are able to keep your people as well in terms of what we call your labor force. All right, you are able to keep your labor force, so your human resource, healthy, right, and educated. They would be able to harness the resource of their country for themselves, thereby keeping the wealth of what they harness for themselves. Okay, so again, if I were to ask which one is more important, basically having a good human resource will help us to keep more wealth in our country by harnessing our own natural resource. So that is one aspect of it. But basically, if you have to do multiple choice, you have to understand you must be able to answer a basic question or identify a basic answer as to the definition of resources, right? So that definition will basically be anything that can be accessed, developed, and used to satisfy wants and needs. So examples of resources can be food, agriculture, okay, like food crop, it could be fishery, it could be lumber to build houses and furniture, etc. Okay, it could be something like minerals that we can use for energy, right? And if we have a lot of it, we can sell it locally, domestically, and on the foreign market, and generate a lot of wealth through foreign exchange. So basically, we also have human resource, a definition for human resource. This includes the strength, creativity, and mental ability of the human population. We have population and demographics. We have definitions. Now all of this is very important for you all to learn for your multiple choice. So people are worried about multiple choice for examination, and this is one way that you can actually conquer that, because multiple choice is based on a lot of definitions. Okay, the paper 2 would have been based on a lot of suggestion, like for you to suggest certain things and explain how it will work, but the multiple choice is based on a lot of definitions. So all of these definitions that we are coming across, like population, a total number of people living in a given area at a particular time. Okay, those are things that you should be jotting down right now, okay, to try to remember that, okay, I have to learn that. Okay, population, right? And population census. This is an official count of a country's population and also a record of information concerning each household, and revealing some of these things like population size, number of persons of working age, number of persons employed or unemployed, gender, age, and gender ratios, individual educational attainment, marital status, religion, ethnicity, migration level, etc. Another definition. Now obviously, if this is a video, you can pause it whenever you like to, and you can write down the definitions down, okay, or you could even learn it from the video, whatever it is you decide to do. Okay, so I could only suggest certain things. It's up to you to decide how you're going to learn it. Okay, now again, if we look at here, we have definition for human resource, we have definition for population, definition for demographics, definition for population census. We have another definition coming up here for dependency ratio. The ratio of dependence to the number of economically active people. People in the working population between 15 and 65 years of age are said to be economically productive. Those outside this range are dependents. Okay, so if you have a child from birth to 15, they are what you call dependents. Over 65 years, they are dependents. They are not seen as people who are working age. It means that they are not contributing to the economy. They are not paying taxes. They are not being productive in terms of generating wealth for the country. I hope you all understand what I mean. So every time you go out to work, or your parents go out to work, You may not realize it, but they are actually generating wealth for the country by paying taxes. Every time they go to the grocery and they pay VAT, they are paying taxes indirectly. They are helping to generate wealth by passing on money to other businesses that pay higher taxes, that are able to hire people to work in their groceries, to work in their stores, in their gas stations, in their pharmacies, in their clothing store. So wealth is being generated and circulated by people of working age, okay, which are 15 to 65. The dependents create the dependency ratio. So basically in our country, we do not want to have a high dependency ratio, okay? We want to have a low dependency ratio. How does a high dependency ratio come about? When we have things like a huge birth rate, right, where we have overpopulation in terms of people making a lot of children, right, like in the past. So basically we would have long ago we would have had pyramids in our country that basically look like a triangle, meaning that the top of it we had a small Asian population. We didn't have an Asian population, but a small population of people who basically were over 65. Then we would have a huge population at the bottom. We would have a huge population at the bottom because people would have a lot of children, okay? And this part in the middle here, would have been the working population. So this part in the middle here would be the part that is actually supporting the top and the bottom, okay? The top would basically be 65 and over, and the bottom would be 15 and under, meaning that they are dependents. So the people in the middle here, these are the people who are actually generating the wealth in the economy, who are of working age, okay? So that is what pyramids in the 20th century in the Caribbean would have looked like, and we hope that our pyramid isn't still looking like that, because basically that would mean that we have a huge amount of people who are depending on the wealth being generated by a small amount of people, okay? And now when we talk about that, we're talking about social studies, we're talking about the entire country, we're not talking about anybody's household. So please don't get confused. This is a pyramid based on a country, okay? A possible country and a possible third world country. So this is what a third world country's pyramid would look like, all right? However, pyramids have basically started to change, where you have the base of the pyramid getting smaller. This part here would have been the base before, being wider, okay, and then going up into a small peak at the top, right? So similarly, this part at the bottom here would be 0 to 15. This part here would be 15 to 65, and here would be over 65, okay? So this part in the middle here, in a more developed country, isn't it huge? Just imagine if you have a country like this, which Trinidad and Tobago possibly could be shaping up to. This is coming out of a third world country. It means that the dependence at the top and at the bottom is smaller than the working population. So we have a huge amount of people who are actually supporting the children in our nation and our elderly in our nation through paying taxes and so forth. Okay, right, to provide the basic amenities for society, the basic utilities and infrastructure like roads and drainage and the waste disposal, etc. Okay, that we need, like healthcare and education and all the social services that we need. The people in the middle here, they are the ones who are providing it through paying taxes, through generating wealth, whether it be through exportation, workings, helping money to generating money, circulating money. Again, I repeating myself, through buying things in the grocery, buying things in hardwares, in pharmacies, etc., etc. All right. So understanding dependency, etc., is also very important in social studies. In case for some reason or the other they have multiple choice and they bring a pyramid and they ask you questions on that. All right, because they could bring depictions as well. Depictions meaning obviously pictures, illustrations, and they could ask you questions on that as well. All right, so I hope that you all understand dependency ratio. Now you have factors influencing population change, and again you have a lot of definitions here that you need to know, like birth rate. You should make sure that you learn the definition for birth rate. Refers to the number of live births each year for every 1,000 people. Okay, this is influenced by economic conditions like healthcare, family planning, culture, religious attitudes, and education. So birth rate is very important because it is an indication of standard of living, okay, and quality of life of people. It is an indication of how well your country is doing. So if when people go to the hospitals to have children and a lot of them die in childbirth, that is a poor indication of our healthcare service, of the health of our nation, of the health of our women, prenatal care, postnatal care, etc. So you find those things in countries that are living, you have a lot of people living in poverty and destitution, etc. So if we have a high birth rate, or a decent birth rate, that means that we are living in a country that is in a developmental stage or developed country. Okay, but besides that, you should learn the definition. Okay, you should learn the definition for death rate. So it is basically the opposite. Refers to the number of deaths that occur for every 1,000 people in a population. Again, it is influenced by prosperity, medical facilities, and health care. Now, birth rate and death rate, one of the things that we have to note as well, in our country we have something called an aging population. Right, an aging population is a sign of development, is a sign of a higher standard of living, because aging populations happening is happening vastly in countries like China and Japan, America, etc., where you have people living until they are 99, 100. Don't get confused with what people say that people don't live as long as before, etc. We have people from long ago who may have lived very long, but the majority of people would have died in their 50s and 60s. But now we have a basic lifespan of 75 and over, right? 75 to 80 something, and some people even live older than that. So that means we have a if you have an aging population, it means that basically that again you have a huge dependency, you may end up with a huge dependency ratio. But at the same time, if you have a huge working population, then you can compensate for that. Alright, so death rate and birth rate is very important for you to understand the definitions. Okay, so if we keep going down, we have a lot of definitions here in this note. So again, it's up to you to learn your definitions, because it is right here for you if it is that you ignore this video, or for the people who I had given this handout already and they keep telling me, I keep asking them if they have it, and every week they keep telling me yes, but they never actually show up in class with it. Well, this is the handout here again. I don't know what you would do with this video, but I'm giving it to you again. So you have growth rate and natural increase, right? So you have definitions just left, right and center all over. So growth rate and natural, determined by finding the difference between birth and death rate, right? So natural increase basically is what they ask. Natural increase is when the birth rate is higher than the death rate. Again, natural increase is when the birth rate is higher than the death rate. So that means the population is increasing naturally with its own people, not people coming in from foreign countries or leaving to go to foreign countries. Okay, all right, so natural increase. And then you have definition for migration, and some students may not even know the difference between emigration, right, and immigration. Emigration is when people move away to another country, and immigration is when people move in. So all of these definitions you have to learn it by heart. And what is net migration? Net migration occurs when the number of people moving into a country exceeds the number leaving. Net migration is when the number of people moving into a country exceeds the number of people leaving, possibly like what happened when we had the influx of the Venezuelans coming to Trinidad. That would have been a good example of net migration. Okay, you also have a definition of fertility rate, the average number of children born to each woman during her lifetime. Infant mortality rate, the death of infants under 1 year of age for every 1,000 live births. This is sometimes an indicator of a country's level of development. I think we just spoke about that, about childbirth and children dying. Okay, now children dying in childbirth is not a good thing for your country, because it shows that women are not healthy, poor healthcare system, these type of things. Okay, so if we have people feeling comfortable that they are pregnant, they're going to have children, but they are not scared that, okay, well, this one might live or it might die, you know. I mean, that's something that people think about sometimes, but it's not something that they are overly scared about with our healthcare system. So that means that we are moving towards something positive. Okay, life expectancy, the number of years a person of a given age in a specific country or region can expect to live. So Life expectancy is another indicator of a country's level of development. So if we have a life expectancy of 80 or 90 years, okay, it means that we have a healthy country, we have good medical care, we have good diets, we have food for our people, things like that. Because people would not live to that age if they don't have access to food and medical care, basically. So these are sort of like common sense things that sometimes students, you need to understand the definitions as well. Population distribution, factors that influence population distribution. You should also read up on these things, right? Of course, again, reminding you all that you can stop the video at any time. Now I can't make the videos too long, otherwise it will be difficult to upload. So we'll stop there for today. And again, I just reminding you all that you can go back from the top and you can write out your notes. You could choose whatever it is you need from it, and you can learn up your definitions. The Form 5 students who are facing examinations coming up, okay, learn your definitions. Just basically learn your definitions. These things you're supposed to already know it, but I just reminding you to learn your definitions. We will continue again in another tutorial, another video.